Hello everyone, welcome back to Black Heaven, a necromantic dating sim. Let's go ahead and continue. Uh, I forgot what you asked. Let's hope I can read it. You have to tell me, do you love me? Oh, yeah. Did I say just in case? Okay, okay. Say yes. Yes, I do love you. Then why did you lie? Why did you do this? I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Lisa's hand slipped down to her neck, and you feel her thumbs press against her windpipe. I hate you. I hate you so much it hurts. You feel Lisa's grip tighten around your throat, but you don't stop her. No. You feel the life fade from your body. You rise up out of your frame and drift off into blackness. When you open your eyes again, you see a shadowed ceiling looming high above you. White curtains hang on either side of you, and you realize you're lying in a bed. You raise your head slightly and see that you're surrounded on three sides by curtains hanging on wooden rods. Beside you is a small bed table and a chair with something piled on it. You look down at your hands and see that the bandages are gone. The lesions on your skin are still there, but they're dry and faded looking. You're wearing a white sleeveless gown, the kind given to surgical patients. The back is knotted shut, but it's baggy enough to pull over your head. You look at the chair again, and realize your clothes and belongings are stacked on it. You almost didn't recognize them in the dark. I can't stay here. You take the gown off, get out of bed, and start putting on your student uniform, which you notice is still stained with blood and vomit. If I get back to my dorm, I can get a fresh uniform, but someone will recognize me there. Your head is throbbing from a headache, and your mouth is dry, but the exhaustion seems to have passed. You sit down on the bed again, and pause as a wave of dizziness washes over you. You shut your eyes and let it pass. If I stay here, I can't stay here. They won't just expel me, they'll arrest me, but they'll keep me locked up for observation. If they want, they could keep me locked up forever without a trial. All they have to say is that I'm being treated for an incurable disease. You stand up and straighten your jacket, then listen. You don't hear footsteps or voices. In fact, you don't hear anything at all. You quietly walk around the bed and pull back the curtain on your right side. You recognize this as a room in the infirmary, and can see the door a few dozen feet away. That door is probably locked, but maybe there's another way out. You let the curtain fall back into place, then walk over and gently pull the left curtain aside. You see another bed with white sheets, but as your eyes run over the shape beneath the blankets, you feel terror rise in your throat. That thing is hairless and at least 7 feet long, contorted and bulbous. Its face is completely black and covered in round buboes, and you realize they're closed eyelids. As you watch, One of them flickers open, then another, and another. Soon, 11 bloodshot eyes are looking at you, blinking and swiveling to get you into focus. Who? So? The thing stirs in the bed and you let the current swing back into place. You take 2 steps back, bump into the bed, spin around and rush past the right current toward the door. Sprint across the tiled floor, closing the distance in seconds. You try to turn the knob, but it's locked. You turn around and watch something push back one of the currents surrounding the second bed. The thing's head emerges and its eyes are locked onto you. You look toward the moonlight pouring through the tall windows on the wall, then pick up the wooden chair that's sitting near the door. You lift it over your head and hurl it through the window pane, sending shattered glass cascading down onto the floor. You hastily clear the glass in the window with your sleeve, then climb over the sill and drop down into the snow 3 feet below. You stumble as you land and fall to your knees, then immediately scramble to your feet. Behind you can hear the thing crying out. Uzo! Uzo! You start to sprint across the snow-clad campus toward the faculty building. After 20 minutes of breathless sprinting, you arrive at the steps of the faculty building and stop to catch your breath. You bend over and grasp your knees with your hands, sucking the cold night air into your lungs. Your eyes are wide open. You stare down at the bricks peeking through the heavy, trodden snow. You can't get the things dry, rasping voice out of your head. Uzo. Uzo. You look up at the faculty building and spot a few faint lights in the windows. Signs of life. You can't go back to your dorm room. Can't stay with Lise or Izagi, and you can't go back to the infirmary where that thing... You just can't go back there. So that leaves you with Rue's office as the last place to go. As panicked and terrified as you are, you feel a sense of elation as you realize that whatever they did to you, it made you feel better. For the first time since the hearing, you feel like your old self. Maybe they did find a cure. The lesions look like they stopped spreading. I just had to get off the campus before they find me again. Take one more gasping breath and dig into the pocket of your uniform pants. You pull out the small ring of keys and find the one for Rue's office. Then walk up the steps and push open the door. You step into the entrance hall and close the door behind you, then look around. You don't see anyone, so you quietly make your way to Rue's office door. You fit the key in the lock, turn it, and walk inside, making sure to shut the door as silently as you can. You let out a relieved sigh as you slide your back down the door and sit down on the floor. You close your eyes and try to calm the thoughts rushing through your skull. When the panic subsides, you imagine your next steps. If there's any food or drink left in there, I'll take it, sleep here, and hide until tomorrow night. Then I'll cover my face, head to the river, and follow off campus. I'll walk on the ice. I don't know if they have guards on the eastern edge of campus, but if they do, I'll figure it out. I'll get out of here. I'll get out. You crawl over to the fireplace and start to stack wood in the grate. It's freezing cold, and you doubt anyone's going to notice the plume of smoke coming from Rue's office. You light the logs and hunch in the front of the fireplace, watching the fire start to build. The warmth soaks into your clothes, then into your skin. You stare at the flames as they spread across the logs, turning them from brown to black. Not so long ago, you were staring at a fire like this while someone you loved slept beside you. You can almost feel them beside you again, like there's a hole in the world where they should be. You can feel the hole in your own soul too. It's older than the time and it's on, but it feels like it's widened since you got here. As you stare into the fire, you cease seeing the flames. Instead you see charred wood burned black at the night. You don't see the patterns of bark or the glow of cinders. It's just perfectly black. It's like looking into a black hole in the world. You know that if you look too deeply into that hole, it'll start to fall apart from the weight of all the things you pushed out of your mind and into that hole. It was her fault she believed me. If she knew who I really was, she wouldn't have gotten so close. Everyone has an ulterior motive. No one can change. You shiver and look down at the floor. The floor is familiar. It's comforting. You spent time on this floor of the room, just drawing out your tutoring lessons. You take a deep breath and clear your mind of lingering thoughts. Food, crackers, salted pork, water, wine, whatever's left in here. You get up and walk back to Rue's private quarters. You light a candle on the wall and look around the room. But after a second or two, your nose catches the smell of something rancid. You follow the scent to the bathroom and gingerly push open the door. A wave of nauseating smells immediately pours out. The sharp tang of rotting meat, the sickly sweet scent of open wounds, and the metallic odor of blood. Small strands of flesh are clinging to the edge of the tub, and you're wet bubbling and squelching. You cover your mouth and nose, and take one step forward so you can peer into the tub. A gory mass of wet muscle and pale organs sits at the bottom of the tub, pulsing as a lopsided heart beats in the center. Veins cover its surface. Instead of being red or blue, the fluid inside is black. Beneath the membrane of flesh, you can see at least 3 eyes staring blindly up at you. Stare back at the mass of tissue for a few seconds, then look down at the pair of lips growing near its lower half. They look half-formed, and for a moment, you're seized with fear. Uzo. You take a step back, out of the bathroom, then slam the door shut. It closes harder than you meant to, and you freeze in place, terrified that someone else heard it. As you stand there, your hand slowly opens the door again, snakes past the jamb, and twists the lock on the inside. When it clicks, you shut the door again. You look across Rue's room toward her bed and try to slow your heartbeat. Count the seconds, then the minutes. No one knocks on Rue's door, no one tries to get in, and nothing tries to open the door. You walk over to Rue's cabinets and start opening them, gathering whatever scraps of food you can find. You find a pitcher of water and a half-empty wine bottle. You collect it all and start eating while sitting on the edge of Rue's bed, stopping only to take sips from the pitcher. Keep your eyes on the bathroom door, but the knob stays still. It's just tissue. Dumb tissue. It's growing out of control with no plan. It's not alive. While you eat, your eyes fall on Rue's bedside table, where a folio of paper lies. You recognize the diagrams and spell maps. They're notes on regeneration. You pick up the folio and start paging through it. Some of it looks familiar, but it's too complicated to figure out at a glance. One image catches your eye. Dark, lopsided spots drawn in pencil. You read the passages underneath. Black, irregularly shaped blotches may indicate early development of tumors. which are in turn symptomatic of cancer's regeneration pattern. If these do not disappear as a consequence of the flesh's natural homeostasis, it may indicate instability in the overall scheme. This is what's happening. So how do you deal with it? You turn a few more pages, skimming through Rue's handwriting. After reading through several paragraphs, your eyes fall on one line. At this point, I need to make bespoke adjustments to enchantments etched on the flesh to counteract the instability. The following page contains the spell maps to test, along with labels showing which contingencies they should deal with. You flip over the page and stare down at the paper. It's blank except for 3 circles filled with intricate, half-finished designs. You flip through the next few pages, but the rest of the portfolio is blank. She never finished them. You bite down the folio and take another bite of a piece of bread. You chew slowly and let the realization sink in. Yesterday you're ready to die. In fact, you're hoping for it. Now, though, you realize you might have a chance. Whatever they did to you in the infirmary seemed to slow down the growth of the cancer, or whatever it was. Maybe even put it into dormancy. And with Rue's notes, maybe you can piece together a way to stabilize your own flesh. You're not half the researcher she is, but you're more familiar with her work than most. Pick up the folio again, and pull out the pages that talk about reversing or stabilizing the flesh and treating the spread of the cancer. You fold them up and put them in your pocket. Then lie down with your head resting against the baseboard of Rue's bed. You don't feel tired, but you should probably sleep during the night so you can be awake and alert when everyone else is up tomorrow. If someone comes to investigate Rue's office, you don't want to be caught. You close your eyes and exhale through your nostrils. In your head, you imagine that flesh climbing out of the tub on 2 malformed legs and lying next to you when you sleep. You imagine Rue's big, beautiful eyes staring at you from its malformed face. As you try to force a thought from your mind, you hear a muffled scream from the hallway. Your eyes fly open and you immediately look toward the bathroom door. To your relief, it's still closed. You get out of bed, enter the office, walk up to the door, and then press your ear against it. Another scream rings out. A different voice. Oh God! What the hell? Just kill it! Uzo! Uzo! You hear a wet, fleshy ripping sound, then a throaty, inhuman roar, like a bear. You an abrupt shout, then the thud as something impacts a wall. Oh God, oh God! Your footsteps run past Rue's door, followed by a door slamming. You step away from the door, rush into Rue's private quarters, and grab a satchel. You throw the folio from her bedside table into it, along with whatever food and drink you have left. You start trying to open her window, but stop when you see her wardrobe. You leave the satchel on the bed and throw open the doors of the wardrobe, scanning the rack. You grab one of her jackets, a coat, a hat, and a scarf. Finally, you pull out a cloak. You shed your soiled jacket and put on one of Rue's, even though it's too small. You put her coat on next, and the scarf and hat. You wrap yourself in the cloak, grab the satchel, and head back toward the window. As you struggle to open the lock, you hear something impact Rue's office door. You sprint back to the door to Rue's private quarters and slam it shut, but not before seeing a large black puddle of ichor leaking under the door to the office. You lock the door and go back to the window again, desperately trying to loosen the latch. You can feel ice sealing the mechanism, and you lean your face close to the blow on it. You hear the door to the office crack and splinter as something rams into it, Then a chain of human shouts. The thing on the other side of the door lets out an uncanny shriek, and you hear new screams from the hall. You try to ignore it, keep blowing on the latch. Pressing your palm against it, try to force more warmth onto the metal. Finally, the latch budges and you force the window open. You climb over the sill and start running across the snow. You can see other people rushing toward the faculty building. You catch the glint of swords and mage-like pistols in the moonlight. No one seems to pay any attention to you, so you keep sprinting toward the river, heading for the trail Izagi had shown you. You make it to the riverbank in almost 20 minutes and fall to your knees in the snow rear near the water's edge. Your head slumps forward as you try to catch your breath. You've run harder than this, but tonight you've been running for your life. That thing followed me back to Rue's office. How did it know where I was going? You stare across the frozen river, ideas running through your head. Did it track you by scent? By footprints in the snow? Did the smoke from the fire draw it in, or the lights in the windows? You give up and get to your feet again. You cross the frozen river and fall along the edge of Rocky Island until you find what you're looking for. A large pile of thick branches. You push aside the boughs and uncover the exterior of a white yurt. You unbutton the entrance flap and crawl inside, then put down your satchel on the matted floor. Blankets and cushions are neatly stacked against the walls, but there's no firewood. You sigh as you stare at the remains of a fire in the center of the yurt. Back here again. You look around at the dark interior of the yurt, remember how excited Izagi had looked when she'd finally finished building it. You'd only helped a little, mostly doing what she told you to. You remember how warm it was that first night. And you remember how warm it was during the first night of the festival when you look Lee's here. You pull your legs close to your chest and wrap your arms around your knees. You stare into the dark, trying not to think of the thing from the infirmary, or the thing in Rue's bathtub. You try to think of something comforting, soft and nice. You imagine her hands touching your face, running down your sides. But that only makes you feel worse. 1,000 times worse. Don't know when you drift off to sleep, but you manage it somehow. You open your eyes and find cracks of daylight seeping into the earth. Outside you can hear the ice on the river groan and creak as it shifts. You immediately sit up and shake yourself, muttering as you do so. Okay. Let's get going. Wake up. You drink a few mouthfuls of water and open the entry flap. Outside the sky is gray and the sun is hidden behind the clouds. Alright, this is it. The day I get out of here. You stretch inside the yurt, limbering up your stiff muscles, and have a few bites of food before stepping out of the yurt. As soon as your eyes adjust to light, you notice snow falling silently from the sky. That's not good. I hope it doesn't get heavier. You hold out your gloved hand and catch a few flakes. That's when you catch the smell of smoke. You raise your eyes to the sky and see that part of it is filled with black clouds. They're coming from the direction of the main campus, where you came from. You look close to the snowflakes and realize it isn't snow. It's ash. Are the buildings burning? Did they panic that much? Whatever the reason, it's no longer your problem. You wipe the ash off your gloves and start walking. If they're dealing with fires, they're not going to be looking for me. Your stomach is tight, and despite sleeping, you still feel agitated and restless, like you're running on adrenaline. The forest around the river is silent, and the only sounds are the trickling of water and the creaking of ice. you feel a creeping paranoia, as if you're being watched. Every crack and pop from the river ice makes you flinch, and the quiet in between is almost maddening. Can't shake the feeling that you're being followed. You walk along the river for almost 4 hours, eventually leaving the span of the rocky island and walking on the ice. Finally, you see a stone bridge ahead, along with a dark 20-foot stone wall looming between the trees. The western border of the campus. That's it. You notice a faint shimmering above the wall, like a mirage. It seems to run along the entire top of the parapet. You stare at it for a while, but it doesn't go away. Probably ice crystals in the air or something. You stealthily make your way to the bridge and step under the shadows of the arch. You crouch there and listen for a while, but you don't hear anything. Ahead of you, a large semicircular tunnel has been built into the wall to allow the river to flow through. You can see several wrought iron spikes sticking out of frozen water near the entrance, forming a barrier for boats. However, the space between the spikes is large enough for you to squeeze through and keep walking along the river. As soon as you're past the spikes, you're basically home free. And then I just had to find the road and follow that to the nearest town or something. After one more look around it, you quickly move up the river, squeeze between the metal spikes and bed in the ice, and make it to the cave-sized tunnel in the wall. Ahead of you can see the river stretching off into snow-covered hills. Freedom. You look back, but you don't see anyone. Then this is it. Goodbye to that town. You start walking forward, but as soon as you make it halfway through the tunnel, you see something shimmering in the air. You stop and blink, but the shimmering remains. It looks like the reflection of light on water, but suspended in the dim air. You reach out with your glove to touch it. You feel the fabric of your glove pass through, but the flesh of your fingers runs up against something hard and smooth, like glass. What the? Some kind of warding spell? You probe the shimmering surface along the width of the tunnel, but there are no gaps. You kick at it tentatively, then again, but harder. The shimmering barrier doesn't budge. You walk out of the tunnel and look up at the top of the wall. The shimmering is there too, meaning that climbing over the wall would be useless. You clench your fist and mutter to yourself as you helplessly survey the landscape. Son of a bitch. God damn it! After almost an hour scouting up and down the wall, confirming what you suspected all along. There is no way out. You sit under the bridge and look down the river, back the way you came. You know you're not going to last another 2 or 3 days out here without stealing more food. The less you eat, the harder it's going to be to keep warm. You have to go back. By the time you get back to Zagi's rocky island in the river, it's dark out. Your pace has slowed significantly since this morning. You can feel the meager meals catching up to you. The smell of smoke gets stronger as you come close to the campus. You can see giant black clouds drifting over your head. The rain of ash becomes heavier, and soon enough of it is drifting through the air that it feels like a blizzard. You cover your mouth to avoid breathing it in, but you can still taste it. You decide not to go all the way back to the yurt, and instead climb one of the banks so you can enter the main campus from the woods rather than from the trail. You walk slowly between the black, dead-end trees towards the buildings looming in the distance, watching the rain of ash silently fall around you. As soon as you begin to set, we can see something brightly shining between the buildings far ahead. One of the buildings has to be on fire. Nothing else could make this much ash. You walk close to the edge of the campus, moving behind one of the dormitories until you can peer around the side. Crouch down and stare from the tree line of the towering blaze ahead of you. In the center of campus, you see a dozen towering pyres, each 15 feet tall. They're surrounded by hundreds of people who are scurrying between the pyres in a field of white shapes. You look closer and realize that the white shapes are bundles wrapped in bed sheets. Looks like they're trying to disinfect all their clothes and sheets. Did it spread that fast? After silently tallying the ragged rows in your head, you count at least 200 bundles splayed on the frozen ground. You watch people come from the pyres, choose a bundle of sheets, then drag it back to the fire. Two others standing by the blaze pick up the bundle and heave it into the flames. Then for the first time you notice people coming out of dorms with the bundles, and you realize that some of the bundles are thrashing and screaming. Oh god. Watch two people lay down one of the struggling bundles on the ground and hold it still. One of them calls to someone standing nearby. The person comes over and lifts their arm. The crack of a pistol rings out, and the bundle goes still. Then the two porters carry it to the field, where they put it with the rest of the bodies. Your gaze is locked on the dark stains on the white sheets, but a sudden sound tears your eyes away. It's a series of loud thuds that shakes the ground underneath your feet. You peer around for the source and spot something moving between the buildings nearby. It emerges from the shadow of a dormitory, and you see it half illuminated in the light from the pyres. A giant, lanky figure standing 20 feet tall with long, skinny arms and an emaciated frame. Its skin is grey like ash, and its head is smooth and hairless, with sunken features that remind you of a corpse. You see that it's carrying an armful of white bundles. It strides towards the pyres slow, upon the steps, and for the first time you see the people walking alongside it. It's a crowd of over 24 students dressed in their bedclothes. As the giant arrives at one of the pyres, they walk forward and form a circle around the base. The people link arms and begin to dance around the pyre counterclockwise, raising their voices in some kind of chant. You see the giant lean over them and dump the bundles of bodies into the pyre, which makes the flames leap up. The dancing students break into cheers and let go of one another. Then one by one, each of them leaps onto the pyre. You watch in a trance as each of the students disappears into the blaze. The giant watches them from above, motionless, as their screams are drowned out by the crackling fire. When they're all gone, the giant turns back toward the dormitory and begins walking. As soon as it's out of view, you let out a breath you hadn't realized you'd been holding. I have to get the hell out of here. He moves southward toward the main entrance to campus. After sticking to the trees for as long as you can, you break out of the tree line and start hiding in the shadows of the buildings. As you move from building to building, you see more people being carried out of doorways. For the first time, you see that the people bringing others to the pyres are wearing leather masks with built-in goggles, the same kind used when working with dangerous vapors. You make your way to the main gate, but you have to keep stopping to wait for people to pass. You try to hide the steam from your breath by pressing your scarf to your mouth. Finally, you catch sight of the main gate's giant outline. To your relief, you see that the doors are open, but you spot a mob of people already gathered around it. Damn it. You don't like having to move out into the open, but a mob means chaos, and chaos means someone might slip through. You step out of the shadow of the building and start striding toward the gate. You reach the edge of the crowd and see that they're all students. They're clamoring and shouting at three groups of soldiers dressed in long black cloaks, who are standing on the other side of a semicircle of wooden barricades. It looks like the leader of the soldiers is trying to direct people or organize them, but no one is paying any attention. You notice that there are small spaces between the barricades, narrow enough for a person to squeeze through. You elbow your way closer to the front and watch as one person crouches down in front of you. You see them crawl through the crowd, then try to make their way past the soldiers on their hands and knees. You lose sight of them for a second, then see them reappear at the other side of the soldiers, sprinting through the grate. There's a shout, and then the shot rings out. You see the student tumble and collapse to the snow. The crowd around the barricade seems to flinch as they try to figure out where the shot came from. The clamoring falls silent, and suddenly the leader of the soldiers shouts at the crowd. "All of you! You started a way to eternal life. If you do not return to your lodgings, you're choosing to die tonight. Have faith in your masters. Have faith in your fellow scholars. The plague can be cured. Stay in your rooms and avoid the infected. Now go! Go back to your lodgings now, or die!" You hear people around you murmuring. They're hesitant, then, one by one, they turn away and walk back toward the campus. You feel a panic set in. Without a mob to back you up, there's no chance you'll slip by the barricade. You look at the soldiers, then dig into your satchel to look for something you can use as a weapon or distraction. Your hand finds Rue's folio instead. You pull it out and look at it. You nod to yourself and open it, then pull out a stylus from the bottom of the satchel. Around you, the members of the crowd start leaving in droves, dispersing into the dark. After a few minutes, you're the only one left standing in front of the barricade. The leader of the soldiers points at you with a sword. "You! Go back to your lodgings or face death." You hold up Ruth's folio, raising your hands in the gesture of surrender. You start walking toward the captain. Let me speak for just a... "No, turn back. We've been ordered not to let anyone through." You keep walking, taking one slow step after another while you keep your eyes on the captain. He shakes his sword and points it at you. "I realize that, but..." "You take one more step forward and I'll cut your arm off." "Would you fucking listen for just a moment?" "I have the cure. It's right here in my hand." The captain hesitates and lowers his sword slightly. "Who are you?" "I'm an instructor here. My name is Zany. I was working with the master who caused the disease. I was her assistant. I've been treated. I was treated early, before I became infectious. I went through her notes a few nights ago and I found how to create a cure. I have all the notes here, right here in my hand." You shake the folio in the air and the captain takes a few cautious steps toward you. He reaches out his hand and you lower the folio into his gauntleted palm. Before you let go, however, you look him in the eye. "I was the only one close enough to the research to understand her work. Without me, the notes are going to take months, maybe years to understand. Do you understand?" "I do." You let go of the folio. The captain opens it and leaves through the pages. "Which part is the cure?" You step closer and look at the folio upside down. You flip a few pages and point at some random spell maps. They have nothing to do with raiding and regeneration, but you're hoping he doesn't realize it. "These spell maps. I've already given the designs to the rest of the faculty. They'll be able to stop the disease from advancing and infected with that spell map, and prevent further infections with that one. I need new flesh, though, for the catalyst. Every person will need to graft about a quarter pound of new flesh." The captain stares at the spell maps, then looks up at you. "You're sure? You've seen them work. The magic's sound." The captain looks over your clothes, then at your face. "How do I know I can trust you? Do you have credentials?" "Just look at my jacket. I'm an instructor here." You pull back the shoulder of your coat to show the epaulets on Rue's jacket. The captain peers at them, then slowly nods. "Alright." Turns around and addresses one of his soldiers. "Give him a mask. keep people from panicking when they see his uniform, and tell the wagon drivers that they have one passenger tonight. The captain leans closer, so he can speak only to you. We've been there for 6 days now. Half of the original squad are on those fucking pyres back there. The rest are already showing signs. I've seen what it does to you. The eyes. The tumors. I don't care if I make it up, but tell me. How fast do you think you can make it back here with relief? If it's less than a week, it can mean saving some of my soldiers the pain of having to. He stops and looks you in the eye. You look back at him, unwavering. I can be back here in 4, maybe 5 days, if everything goes well. That's good. Thank you. He puts his hand on your shoulder, and for the first time you spot the black lesions on his neck. One of the other soldiers brings you a leather mask with goggles, and you strap it on. You follow the soldier through the gate and out to the row of 8 wagons sitting on the other side of the walls. You glance back up at the walls and catch sight of that shimmering veil in the air, as well as the smoke billowing across the sky. A troubling thought strikes you. They said they've been here 6 days already. How's that possible? Was I really in the infirmary for that long? You climb into the back of one of the wagons, and it immediately starts rolling away from the gate. You look back to the gate and see the captain watching you. He raises a hand in farewell, and you reluctantly raise a hand in response. The wagon starts to roll across a vast bridge that spans in the icy gorge outside the entrance to the academy. You look over to the side of the vast, empty darkness beneath you. I wonder how many students got out. Faces flash in your mind. Rue's determined look of concentration. Izagi's stoic, silent gaze. Lisa's childish, unabashed grin. You raise your eyes to the wagon driver and try to call out. Excuse me, driver! Driver! Hey, did any students get out? The driver turns their masked face to you and shakes their head. No one else. No one else but me. You sit back against the side of the wagon and look out at the gorge. The darkness in its depths seems to blend in with the darkness of the sky. All alone. You remember crossing the bridge in that wagon. It felt like you were being carried out of the dream. From the first day you'd set foot on campus to the moment you saw those bodies burning in pyres, it was just all a dream, fading into the distance. The person you were at its sun was fading away, and so were Rue, Izagi, and Lise. Crossing that bridge, you didn't feel guilt at lying at the cabin gate, or telling people you had a cure. You didn't feel bad for spreading the plague. All you felt was a terrifying emptiness, because you were alone again. For the first time since you'd arrived at Itsan, you didn't belong anywhere. You had no one waiting for you, no master, no employer, no friends, no lovers. You got used to being Uzo the scholar, Uzo the sparring partner, Uzo the gravedigger. All those versions of you were gone. Once you inevitably got off the cart and abandoned your persona of Zini, the research assistant, that little mask would disappear too. You'd be left alone with yourself. You fall to your knees and hold your face in your hands as your tears pour out of your eyes. I'm a liar. You study how people talk. You study how they move, as well as the expressions they make when they're happy or greedy. It's one of the first things you learned in Senkaku. You'd watch their faces, the little gestures they'd make, and the things they'd say to show their disdain. You used to practice them in the mirror. After you got good at it, you'd start to borrow things. A certain phrase, a choice joke, or a way of standing. Soon you had a little repertoire of mannerisms for every occasion. It wasn't enough to understand the outside of people, though. You had to understand the inside, too. It was the way to figure out which levers to pull to get them to do what you wanted. And deep down, in the bottom of your soul, you feel a pang of self-satisfaction at how easy it was to trick people, to read them, and to disguise yourself. It didn't feel like lying. It felt like playing a game. But one lie begot another, and soon you were living multiple lives at once. The most important part of telling a good lie was to believe it in yourself, even if just for a little while. Rue had been easy. Too easy almost. It was obvious how to get to her heart. Everything about her cried out for someone to reassure her, to tell her she was okay. She was looking for an anchor. Navigating her unease and earning her trust was gratifying, like probing and tinkering in a rusty old lock. Sooner or later, you knew you'd crack it. You felt sorry for her at first. Once you'd realize how easy it would be to secure affection, you wondered if it would be worth ruining her over it. If anyone found out about you two, you knew that disgrace would destroy her. All she had was her work writs on. You, meanwhile, you'd survive one way or another. Izagi was mostly a surprise. You'd been attracted to her physically, but you'd initially written her off as too arrogant and strong-willed to be worth taking it any further. Slowly, like a climber looking at the face of a cliff, you began to spot cracks in her. Little pieces of her real self shone through, along with her vulnerabilities. You had to be careful with Izagi, because she was the most vigilant and mistrustful. It ended up being nerve-wracking to get her to believe you at certain points. It was disturbing sometimes to see your disguise overlap with your real self. At first, your resentment toward Izagi was real. She could tell that was okay with you. But over time, she only saw the parts of you that you wanted her to see. In the end, you got to her heart and saw that she really was desperate, self-hating, and volatile. Lise had been an interesting challenge. She was the one who was most like you, accustomed to putting on different faces for different people. Like you, she saw it as her sport. She collected friends like points. She was shameless about playing with people, but deep down you knew that there were layers she didn't show anymore. That thought intrigued you. Despite all her intrigue and care, it turned out she wanted to show someone who she really was. Vulnerable, lonely, and thoughtful. You remember how sweet it felt to be able to guide someone down the path you'd made. You remember how thrilling it was to know you were in control. Even if everything fell apart, you knew you could walk away knowing that you got a glimpse at who they really were, while they would realize they'd never known you at all. If they didn't know you, how could they hurt you? You remember what you told yourself? It's their fault for being too trusting or too stupid to see through me. It's their fault if they got hurt. They should have learned to play the game as well as me. Now you see the cruel little game for what it is. You know what they would ask you if they were here. You knew it would hurt me. How could you do that? How could you lie like that? I didn't want to hurt any of you. I cared about you. I really did. Not at first, but it changed. I didn't want it to end. I really wanted Zagi, but I somehow got Lise. You're so pathetic. You knew it had to end. So why did you do it? I did it because... You pause and you feel as you're standing over an abyss. You've never been able to finish that thought, even in the vague, wordless mass at the back of your mind. Because because it's better to hurt someone than to be hurt. Your eyes go wide as those words echo in your head. They feel so familiar, but you know you've never spoken them before. You can feel them deep inside you. The harder you focus on them, the more memories they dredge up. When you were in Senkaku, your whole life was people. Working with your partners, scanning bars with the right marks, and adapting your little game to them. People were your bread and butter, your canvas on which to work. You were humorous, gregarious, eccentric, magnetic. As long as you could keep people entranced, you could hold on to what you had. A bed, a roof, and the low money. Sometimes you doubted yourself. You weren't so many masks that you couldn't tell when you were being honest and when you were lying. You felt like a thing wearing a human face, looking at people like they were insects or cattle. You hated that they were so easy to trick, and you hated that they made you feel guilty for applying your trade. By the time you got to Itsan, you were sick of dealing with people. You didn't want friends, you wanted to get your immortality no matter what it took. Because once you had it, no one could take it away from you. You were dour, laconic, and bitter. All carefully crafted to let people know to stay away. But you couldn't resist slipping back. You became a reluctant partner in crime for Lise, an anchor for Rue, a sparring partner for Azagi. When you look back at your life, you see iterations and transformations like Rue's mathematical textbooks. It changed on the outside, but underneath, You remember the little folds of the lotuses you made alone in your room. All of them had the same flaws. You can bring yourself to look up what they meant. But if you never knew it from the beginning, it's always been saying deep inside you for as long as you can remember. I'm pathetic and cowardly and hateful. You gag as a thought seeps into your mind, like you're tasting something bitter. And I can't let anyone see, because if they do, they'll know what I really am, and I won't be able to deny it. You try to imagine holding someone and being at peace. But as soon as you imagine that moment, you feel the quiet terror of someone seeing your real face. You feel the deep dread of losing something you need, something you want. Most of all, you can imagine your real self, like a shriveled little husk inside your body, tiny, pathetic, scared, and hateful, looking out of your eye sockets. No one could love that selfish little ball of hate. You feel your mind churning as you try to hold on to the thought and keep it from sinking back in the shrouded parts of your mind. I lie to myself because I can't face being pathetic, and I'm pathetic because I keep lying. God, that's so stupid. You feel the shame and frustration and hatred wash over you as you feel all those years of bad thoughts swarm around your mind. I don't want to be me anymore. I want to be. You try to imagine being the kind of person you would want to be. You would try to imagine being someone who would deserve Rue's love, or Zagi's, or Lisa's. You try to imagine how he would think, how he would act. But no matter how hard you try, you can't block out a single gnawing thought. Can anyone be truly selfless? Can anyone really be honest? No matter how hard I try to imagine being someone else, I'm always thinking like me. Everything I do happens because I hate who I am, and I hate who I am because everything I do is hateful. It's a fucking circle. That's all I am, a fucking circle, and I can't escape it. I had to stop. I had to stop being terrified and pathetic. If I can stop, then I'll break the cycle and I'll... But as you hold on to those words, you feel something else begin to take shape in your mind. A question. But if you stopped being you, what would you be? Nothing. The words crystallize in your head like diamond. You realize that the Uzo you have in your hand is just as illusory as the Uzos you left behind at Itsan. And just like that Uzo, the you at the heart of all this frustration and hate and desperation is just as empty. Nothing. You shut your eyes and you feel those words crashing down through your soul, like a giant metal ball crashing through every floor of a 100-story house. When it finally reaches the bottom, you feel yourself collapse. All your hunger, all your desire, all your hatred, all your bitterness and desperation is all a lie to distract you from the reality of you. All your thoughts, your memories, and your mannerisms and traits, none of those are truly you. They were shadows cast by the fear in your heart. Now that you're free of that fear, you can let go of your old self go. And the thing that fills that void is nothing. I'm nothing. Empty. You feel a profound sense of terror at that thought. It's like you're hanging over a bottomless hole and you're hanging on by a thread. Everything you were, everything you felt, all of it is being swallowed up by that endless hole. You let go of who you were, you feel like you might never find a way out of that void. You just disappear. You know you can't keep living the way you are. You know the only other option is to go back to the circle of hate and lying and fear. But falling apart is too terrifying. I'm not ready to let go. Can't let go yet. So you hold tight. You shut your eyes and push everything out of your mind. The words, the thoughts, the feelings. All of it is pushed deep down where you can't see it. When you open your eyes, you feel like you're going to throw up. The swarming thoughts in your head quiet to a low, distant roar, and you feel the cold, bleak certainty solidify in your mind. I can't be who they wanted me to be. I can't be someone different. All I can do is try to give them peace. The library looms around you, and the grimoire is on the table in front of you. You feel tears at the edges of your eyes, so you wipe them away and give a quavering sigh. You rest your face on your dirty hands and try to breathe. How long has it been? You try to count the days since you left Lazula, since you arrived at Itsan, but you know you're missing some. You can feel the exhaustion in your bones, and you know that some of it goes deeper. The cancer must be spreading again. It has to be. You want to shut your eyes, but you're afraid that if you do, you'll be back in your memories. So you keep them wide open, staring at the grimoire. You sit there for a long time, till all the memories fade down to a low burn at the back of your mind. You feel wasted, like a husk. And you know you're not done. God, I had to face her again. You don't have the strength to do that yet. You reach into your bag for a stylus and slowly unbutton your shirt, looking at the dark gashes. The wounds have clotted. They're starting to hurt again. You begin tracing the familiar spell maps. One for blood clotting, one for flesh regeneration, and one for numbing the pain. Feels like a relief to focus your mind on something else for a while. The geometric patterns are familiar, all sliding together like a puzzle. Well, that'll hold for a while. You sigh and put away your tools, prop your elbows on the table, and cradle your head in your hands. You stare down the grimoire. Oh, you can read more than the Kizi. That's noises, I guess. I think I'll save. Oh boy. Uh, I wonder. Do I talk to Lise again? I want to talk to Zagi next. Yeah. Okay. Now for here, I'll stop right here. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment what you think so far. If you enjoyed this visual novel and you want to watch more, please check the playlist down below. If you want to watch other visual novels, please check the playlist please check my channel down below. Anyways, thank you and take care.